Did you see that? A ghost.
Welcome to Paranormal Pentivity, a show about songwriting, ghostwriting, and everything in between. My name is Nayim, and I am your host. Today, let's talk about artist features and why you should avoid them when you are first starting your career. You know, when you think about a feature, the logical thing is two people getting together with similar styles who share similar fan bases coming together to make something work and make it bigger and make it profitable. The first thing that comes to my mind is people like French Montana, who is more of a feature artist just because he complements other people so well. Two people getting together, I would think of Baby and Dirk when they just did The Voice and the Hero. It made sense. They share an audience, similar, not really similar music, but they share an audience and it crosses over good enough where it actually makes sense. Now you have these other situations that you would get a feature to prolong your career. This would be people like Drake, people like Nicki hopping on a song or whatever just because it's hot. You know, just somebody that's real high profile hopping on a track to say, you know, I fuck with whatever's going on. I'm prolonging whatever I got going on. And that also will help give the other person who is just new. I think about Look Alive with Block Boy JB. Give them a look, boost them up, send them out. You know, also the other side of that would be, what would the other side of that be? I'm thinking about it. Boost your profile up for the big artists. For the smaller artists, I covered it. Give them a look, get them out there. Oh yeah, the other side would be that shit that just doesn't really make much sense, but it makes some sense. Like that Havana song with Young Thug and whatever that bitch name was, Camilla, whatever. Or Dua Lipa with Levitate. The regular song was good, but when she put the baby on that song, that shit went crazy. So these are just kind of the simple type of things, and everybody has their opinion about doing features as an up and coming artist. And people even like to say, don't call yourself an up and coming artist. You're an artist, but my thing is until you reach that pinnacle of where you're trying to be, or on this channel we'll say the pinnacle is mainstream, or at least, well, we'll just say mainstream because everything under that, we'll have to talk about the intricacies. You are still up and coming. The thing with that is, everybody will tell you that it's the fastest way to build your catalog. That's the fastest way to build awareness and build your career. And I'm here to tell you that is probably one, it's not necessarily completely terrible, but it's not something that I would recommend you to do. And I'm going to tell you why I would not recommend that. One, when you're first starting out, you want people to know you. You want people to know your voice. You want people to know your sound. You want people to know what you bring to the table. You want people to know your story. You are building your planet. And you want the people who are the aliens riding by to actually stop and see what you got going on. And hopefully they see what you got going on and they stay with what you got going on. That is not going to happen if the majority of your music is music that is collaborations. And we're talking about artist vocal collaborations, not producer, artist, two people collaborations. We're talking about whoever your producer is, or whoever the producer is, you as the artist, and then another vocal artist on the track. You know, you're not going to, you want to, when you come out, you want to make sure the majority of your music is you. When they show up, they are showing up and they're knowing who is who. If the first songs and all the music, or the majority of your music is features, it kind of gives this thing where you can't stand on your own. People might feel a different kind of way about that. I don't give a fuck. But from the outside, it gives you this French Montana type of situation, because why aren't you doing songs by yourself? People show up to hear you. You know, you'll have a lot of cases where you'll put a song out and your song with your feature, if it's not some mainstream major artists will actually be your least bought, least streamed, whatever song, unless that song is just so hot, or unless you came into this with, and we're talking about solo artists, we're not talking about groups. Groups is a whole nother conversation for another time. You'll have these situations where, you know, people know y'all from wherever y'all from. There'll be people who'll check it out. But for the majority of the thing, two unknown artists on the track together, it builds awareness, but nobody's going to be able to single you out. People are going to look at that like you can't hold your own. Another thing is, a lot of times when you come into these situations, there are going to be people who are not moving at the same pace, you know? There's going to be artists who are moving faster and progressing more in my career. It's like, if it's not a group, and even in groups, we'll have to talk about that another time, but like, everybody is not progressing the same way with all this featured music. So you might actually, like, you know, get tired of being associated with other acts and other brands that you know you want to go off and do something else, but you're so affiliated with that. It's kind of that Rich Homie Quan, Young Thug thing. When they first came out, Rich Homie wanted, like, he was enjoying the benefits of being a rich gang, but he knew he wanted to go off and do his own thing. He knew he wanted to build his own catalog, build his own brand, build his own awareness up to that point where people would actually just seek him out if they wanted just him. We can appreciate Rich Gang and what was going on with Thug, but like, that's one of the detriments of coming into this shit, doing all these fucking collaborations, is where sometimes you're gonna fall into that category of, I don't want just Rich Homie, I want Rich Homie and Thug, and then it's gonna end up as this battle when it's time to hit the ground running. After you get that hit, we're gonna take one and we're gonna leave the other. It's very rare that we take one and take the other one with the other one. You gotta really be some type of legacy actor. Even people get real slick about the way they talk about Outkast. Sometimes we're not tolerating that shit over here. Not on your life. But people will talk crazy about Big Boy like 3 Stacks carried that whole group just because people had a preference, a style preference for one over the other. The last thing I want to touch on this, because we'll probably end up having to come back. Obviously, this is more intricate than just touching the surface, is you'll end up doing all the work, doing all of this, and somebody else is not putting in as much work as you, and they will end up benefiting from all the work that you put in, allowing them to slack, fall off, fall back, do anything. They don't have to do much, but they'll gain everything that you work for. I fell back from doing collaborations because people was not working as hard as I was. And I say working as hard as I was, I'm an outside type of person. I like to get out. I like to talk to the people. I like to touch the people, you know, put it in my hand. You know, a lot of the stuff that I was doing wasn't put it in my hand. And I understand there has to be a groundwork done. But again, we go back to what I was talking about, moving in different paces. If I'm moving at this speed and you're not keeping up with this speed, I can't stop what I'm doing to make sure you keep up, or make sure, you know, you can come up to whatever. I have to continue to go, because my thing is, once you start this shit, you can't stop. If you do stop, you better stop when don't nobody know you and nobody's paying attention, because once you hit the ground and it's time to run, you're going to find yourself in one of these predicaments or whatever. Also, let me throw this in at the very end. I just thought about this. Doing collaborations with motherfuckers, just, you know, it's one thing if you know everybody that you're collaborating with. It is another thing if you know everybody cool and everybody homies. But doing collaborations with people you don't know anything about, you know, I 100% advise against that, because I had a situation where I had to actually take a song down that was actually doing good, because the person that was on the song got caught up in some legal issues that I do not condone. And I had to take my song down because I didn't want no affiliation with him. None. And we'll talk about taking songs down, and we'll talk about, stuff like that. But like, that's the consequence I had to suffer for doing early collaborations with people that I didn't take my time to get to know. I didn't take time out to see who they really was. We didn't have no relationship outside of a work relationship. Because we're at this level where it's just we're up and coming, we're starting, we're doing, we're this, it doesn't really matter. But the minute that I moved up and ascended, now you got to think about your reputation, and if you want whatever comes with that other person attached to your reputation. Just some shit to think about. I would advise up and coming, stay the fuck away from collaborations. Stand on your own, work on your own, develop yourself, develop your sound, and then you can transcend into doing more with other people. Collaborate with producers, obviously, collaborate with songwriters, maybe experiment with your own sound. But as far as sharing your space with another artist, absolutely not. That wraps it up for this episode of Paranormal Pentivity. Thank you, everybody who's rocking out with the channel. We're going strong. I appreciate everybody. We'll keep it all over here. We'll keep it all in the family. My name is Nayim, and I'm your host, and I will holler.
Did you see that? A ghost.